announcements, none. Papers have been laid. Question.
Mr. Speaker, my question is addressed to the Honourable Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity, whether in regard to the case of alleged major fraud regarding the payment of basic invalidity pensions, in which one Mr. K, Mr. J, and other individuals are allegedly involved, she will state, A, when the matter was first reported, the actions, if any, taken in relation thereto by her ministry, and C, the number of persons, if any, arrested in connection therewith as at to date.
Mr. Speaker, a complaint letter from RR dated 3rd November 2020 was addressed to my ministry regarding one Mrs. AJ who was benefiting from invalid basic pension despite being in good health. On 2nd December 2020, a national pensions officer of my ministry appealed to the medical tribunal to re-examine and reassess Mrs. AJ. Mrs. AJ was convened several times by the medical tribunal but never attended. She was convened on 2nd February 2021, 3rd March 2021, 18 May 2021, and 13 July 2021, respectively. On 19th May 2021, the chairperson of the medical tribunal requested the medical file of Mrs. AJ from Mocha Eye Hospital. On 31st May 2021, the said hospital informed that Mrs. AJ was not on the register of the records section of the hospital. Subsequently, on 7th October 2021, Mrs. AJ was reconvened before the medical tribunal but did not turn up. The chairperson of the medical tribunal therefore revoked the invalid basic pension and Mrs. AJ with immediate effect. The matter was referred to the police on 8th October 2021 for an inquiry. Dr. S.L., Director Medical Unit of my ministry, and Mrs. G, also from the medical unit, gave a statement to the Central CID on 26 October 2021. My ministry immediately initiated an internal inquiry into the matter, and 13 suspicious cases were discovered. The 13 medical certificates were referred to Mocha Eye Hospital on 28 October 2021 for verification purpose. On 17 November 2021, the superintendent of Mocha Eye Hospital informed the medical unit of the ministry that out of the 13 patients, only one patient had an authentic medical certificate. With regards to Part B, I would like to highlight that this matter has been taken very seriously by my ministry. The following actions have been taken. All the 12 cases have been referred to the police by my ministry by means of a letter dated 2nd December 2021. On 22nd December 2021, my ministry issued a letter to the Ministry of Health and Wellness requesting that all medical certificates from Mocha Eye Hospital be issued solely by the medical superintendent. On 20th January 2022, the Ministry of Health and Wellness gave instruction to the medical superintendent of Mocha Eye Hospital to endorse all medical certificates issued by the hospital. All medical officers of my ministry were instructed not to entertain any medical certificates which were not endorsed by the medical superintendent of Mocha Eye Hospital. Furthermore, on 8th October 2021 and 11th October 2021, ICAC made a request to the ministry for information on some beneficiaries of pension. On 7th March 2022, my ministry received a letter from ICAC requesting information on 121 beneficiaries of pension. ICAC called at the medical unit at Rosehill on 8th March 2022 to gather information from Dr. S.L., Director, Medical Unit, and Mrs. J. Following the visit from ICAC, decisions was taken by my ministry to refer the 121 cases to the medical tribunal for reassessment. Pending reassessment, their pensions were suspended. Out of the 121 cases, 82 cases have already been convened before the medical tribunal. out of these 82, 29 cases are under process at the medical tribunal. For the remaining cases, the pensions have been revoked by the medical tribunal. As regards Part C, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that as at 25th November 2022, 5 persons have been arrested. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for a reply. Now, all the information I have from the police, from your ministry, is that in fact this doesn't relate to 100 cases or 10 cases, but in fact we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of cases going back maybe 10 years. So this is the first question. The first question is, how are you going to weed out from the list of the 32,000 people who receive invalid benefits, how are you going to weed out the hundreds, if not thousands of people who are using fake certificates or fraudulently claiming invalid pension?
Well, we have already asked the medical unit to go. We have no other alternative than to reassess the beneficiaries. It will be done by small batches, but we will have to reassess the beneficiaries to make sure that the medical certificates that have been produced by the beneficiaries are not fake medical certificate. I must also add, the medical certificate produced by the claimant with regards to the 121 cases, these medical certificates have been duly signed in the name of an eye specialist registered with the Medical Council of Mauritius, and the medical certificates even bears the official seal of Mocha Eye Hospital. So I think to make sure that pensions are being given to people who suffer from an invalidity of 60%, we will have to reassess all of them by small batches.
Honourable Minister knows full well that the issue is that thousands of people who genuinely ought to get some sort of benefit do not get the benefit. And in my opinion, about 3,000 or 4,000 people who should not be getting any benefit or fraudulently claiming benefit from your ministry, and the main reason being the systemic failure, the failure of your system that you have in place to weed out fraudulent. I'm going to refer to you to a case. After I will give you the exact name. One person, 22 years old, another person, 53 years old. Both medical certificates have been accepted by the medical board, and there is not even a stamp on that medical certificate. So this shows the laxism or maybe even connivance of some medical boards in giving these credence to these fake certificates. How can you explain that there is not even a stamp on the medical certificate?
Yes, I understand fully your question. Well, I will ask the leader of the opposition to produce the medical the document so that I can have a look at it. And of course, I will ask the medical unit to investigate. But first of all, can you produce the document?
But they come from your ministry.
No, but I
so
can't,
I should not really, I should not really be producing it to you. You should have had all day to find out yourself, but I will give it to you. Don't worry about it.
Honorable,
It comes from your ministry, and it is genuine.
Yes.
Wait a minute. The Honorable Minister would like to have a look. No, but if you said you will table,
I said I can table. I will table it. I will give it to the ministry later. I never said I will table.
Oh, you changed now.
I'm
you
sorry?
can table it. You will not table it.
I said I will give her after the session. I said so in English just now.
No, this you cannot do. You are imputing, you're saying things based on the medical certificate, supposedly without its name. So the minister would like to have a view.
I will give her a copy. I will give her a copy if you insist. I will give her a copy.
Okay,
and she will see, but really
chair
I am doing her job. And that is not my job to do her job. But I will give her a copy.
Mr.
Now
Speaker,
let me continue.
Mr. Speaker,
let me continue with my question.
Can I respond
Is that
to
a point
this?
of order?
Yeah, no, can I respond
No, we can't
to
respond. I
the...
have a question.
No,
I'm
you
going
can't.
to ask my question.
You... But you can't, Mr. Speaker.
No, I have to put some order in the House. It is my turn. I am the chair. I have to put order in the House. And you don't talk like this to me. I have no problem. You have problem. There is no problem. There is a chair. What is your point?
Mr. Speaker, the leader of the opposition cannot come in the House and make vague comments and say that he's doing my job and he does not want to produce the document he's referring to. So I need to have, I think this is fair debate, I need to have a look at the document to which the leader of the opposition is referring, so that I can respond. The leader of the opposition wants a response from me, but he does not want to produce the document. How come?
Okay, the only reason I'm not tabling it, because it has the names of people on there. And it is a medical certificate. I'm not going to do like other people and give the details, but I will give it privately, or at least I would not wish for this to be on public record, but if you want to insist on a public record, I don't care. All right? But this is the name of persons on a medical certificate, and I think you don't have to be so intelligent to understand that this is not supposed to be given like this, like the Prime Minister gave the name of person last time. Now, let me finish. Shut up and let me finish.
Are you going? No.
Right.
Please. Please, respect the chair. Can you submit the papers?
Quel est le problème là?
No, come on.
Calmez, tout pour venir, calmez. Now, the issue is this of the extent of the fact that the medical boards are laxist in their approach, and secondly, I'll forget the issue of the specific case at the moment. I would like the Honourable Minister to do one thing, and probably one thing only, given that I maintain there are thousands of fraudulent cases and thousands of cases who merit, who should get and are not getting. I would like to ask the Minister whether she will now tell the House that she's going to, given the fact that these cases, and she has admitted about 100 cases herself, that she's going to review the whole system of allocation of invalid pensions, basing yourself on a medical certificate which has no serial number, which has no stamp, which is not even on the IT system, which is never double-checked by anyone. That's not 2022, it is 1950. So the whole system needs to be re-looked at. And is the Minister going to tell us today in the House that given the widespread fraud that there is, that she's going to review the whole system of medical boards of allocation of invalid pensions?
Mr. Speaker, the Medical Board and the Medical Tribunal have been set up in accordance with the law. So Section 34, subsection 2, makes provisions for the Medical Board. Section 36, subsection 2, provides for the Medical Tribunal. So the Ministry is then guided by the findings and assessment of the Medical Board and the Medical Tribunal. So at this stage, I think, as I have said, there is 2 inquiries ongoing, one by the police and one by the by ICAC. So let us wait for the outcome of the 2 investigations, and then we will see. Because, as I have said in my reply, we have taken this incident very seriously. So immediate actions have already been taken. So let's see the outcome of the report, and if need be, we will bring, why not, we will bring additional measures.
You mentioned that you have reviewed, I think, the whole system to try and get the fraudulent cases. Out of the 32,000 beneficiaries, how many of these cases, the certificates, has your ministry checked up to date? You have at least 1 year, apart from what you're saying yourself. You've been aware of this for about 1 year. How many thousands has been checked to date?
Excuse me, Madam. Leader of the Opposition, may I read your question? Whether in regard to the case of alleged major fraud regarding the payment of basic invalidity pensions in which Mr. K, Mr. J, and other individuals are allegedly involved, she will state ABC. This is the question. And now you're expanding the question to 1,000 cases. I don't know if the minister has all this information.
If you look at the question, Mr. Speaker, you say, what has she done? What action has she taken, if any? I'm asking her, what action she has taken, if any, following the fact that she has seen widespread fraud? What is the problem with you? This is a basic question I'm asking.
In regard, the question reads,
Read the question.
Read the question again.
Ali, read the question.
In regard to the case of alleged fraud regarding the payment of basic whatever, in which Mr. J and Mr. K and other individuals are allegedly involved, whether she will state ABC. It's clear. It's clear. Whatever it means, it's clear.
What action you have taken?
In regard to those cases, in regard to those cases, I'm not going to discuss. You restrict your question to your main question.
Main
This
question
my
is,
ruling.
you have taken note of these widespread cases. What have you done, if any, to find out the extent of the problem?
Mr. Speaker, it is a pity that the leader of the opposition is losing his temper. This is an opportunity. This is an, there is no need for you to shout. No, there is no need. There is no need to shout. So you are putting question. I'm here to answer. We are not here to cover anybody. You have put the question. Well, give me time to respond. So you are saying thousands of cases. I have said in my reply that we have detected 121 cases. Now, out of the 121 cases, 82 cases have already been convened before the medical board. I have also said that the matter has been referred to the police and ICAC. So we have to wait for the outcome, for the findings of both institutions.
Very kind. Maybe I have not been clear enough in my question, Honorable Minister. You have found 120 cases out of how many you have checked? That is the question. If you have checked, you have found 121 out of 121, or you have found 121 out of 1,000, you have checked 2,000, 3,000. That is the question.
Well, I don't have. Maybe,
you see?
Let me. No, what is it you see? Let me check with the officers. You see? Do you expect me, Honorable Leader, do you expect me to have all the answers? I'm not. Wait a minute. Let me check with the officers if they have the answer.
High level of competence from ministers. I may be wrong. Now, Mr.
You are too
Speaker.
competent.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, I am on my feet. I am not shouting. Don't take the volume of my voice to be an excuse. This is my voice. If you want, I can close those mics. Honorable Leader of the Opposition, you said high level of competency or whatever. We should encourage more ladies to be ministers. Now, present your apologies to this.
For what? For what? If she found...
High level of competency, you are insinuating
Well,
that the minister
Mr. Speaker,
is not competent.
I also expected high level of confidence from the chair, but I will apologize. I will apologize to the lady. There's no problem with that at all. Now, can I continue with my question? You cannot answer two questions.
Let me reply, Mr. Speaker. So, in one sentence, I can say that we have treated this matter in the best possible way. So, we have done everything that needs to be done. So, we have to wait for the outcome of the police and the ICAC.
I apologize. It was an arithmetic question I asked. Maybe it was complicated. 120 cases out of how many thousands or hundreds that you have checked, we will take it that you are unable to provide this information.
Well,
now let's now look, don't interrupt me, come on. Be polite, madam. Now, the medical boards. You are aware that the medical boards, firstly, some sit in the car park at Astor Court, others sit in other regions. They are not equipped at all. They have no equipment to verify anything. There are 2 doctors sitting on this medical board. You have 30 medical boards. There is no equipment, no support. They cannot refer the cases anywhere. So I'm going to ask you now, whether given this issue involving thousands, I repeat, of people, which you have not checked, are you now going to review the level of facilities given to medical boards to ensure that the people who ought to get the money, and the people who are fraudulent do not get any money?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I have already, we have had meetings at the level of the ministry since some months now to see to it in what ways we can improve the system. Yes, we do know that at the level of the medical board, they don't have, sufficient equipment. We have only 2 medical practitioners at the level of the medical board. And we are looking into all aspects and seeing what ways we can improve the medical board.
I'm going to ask you also, Madam Minister, the medical board, if you look just here at Astor Court, it's in the parking, underground parking of Astor Court, a little office. People are standing there all the time. There's not even proper chairs for these people who are sick. So perhaps as from tomorrow, could you ensure that that is as basic comfort to the people who are attending the medical boards? It's not a political question.
Well, I have never been made aware that there are no chairs for the claimants who come to attend the medical tribunal. Well, I will have to check, and necessary actions will be taken if need be.
I'd like to ask now, you've noted, I think, so many dozens at the moment of recipients who have, according to my information, conspired with this Mr. J and Mr. K and others, Mr. Kasori and Mr. Jitu and others.
No, you don't have.
I remove the words.
Apologize first.
I apologize.
And remove these
I remove the words. Okay. Now.
And don't do this trick. Very often you do this trick. Don't do this trick again. I'll be strict.
You're only strict with the opposition. That's your problem, Mr. Speaker. Now,
No, you can't make comments against the chair.
I am removing this comment.
Everything is found there.
I'm removing it.
Everything is found there.
Everybody will know that it's not true. I'm removing it. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister that these persons who have conspired, conspiracy is a very famous word. Now, these persons who have conspired, these recipients, how many have been arrested? Of the recipients, who some have been receiving up to 1 million rupees over 10 years, how many have been arrested? How many?
Well, I have said in my reply that 5 have been arrested so far.
Conspirators.
The claimants.
5
up to now,
claimants.
only 5 claimants.
Why
have been
only 5?
arrested. You have to put this question to the police, not to me.
Okay.
How would I know that? Why? Only 5 have been arrested.
Okay. Mr. One issue that we have doesn't relate directly to you, but it concerns you, is the fact that the medical certificates are found everywhere. There's no serial number. There's no heading. There's nothing there's no register of whichever medical certificates have been issued. So they're just everywhere. And I understand that more than 100 blank medical certificates have been found at one Mr. J. We gave his name earlier. Now, this person has 100 blank certificates. Have you spoken to your dear colleague, the Minister of Health, to tell him that this system is unacceptable and is leading to a lot of abuse?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it is a pity that this incident has happened. So there is, in fact, an alleged case of fraud. If we have to tighten the system, if we have to improve the system, the needful will be done. And at the level of my ministry, as I have said, we have already started discussion with the Ministry of Health. Immediate actions have been taken, so we started discussions with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. That's why I have said that a decision has been taken not to accept any medical certificate from the eye hospital until and unless it is being delivered by the superintendent only. So these actions has been taken.
Well, the minister should be aware that it is not only the eye hospital in Mocha which is involved. There's at least one other hospital which is involved. You know that?
Yes.
Then why only restrict to Mocha? You will no doubt be able to explain. What is clear, Mr. Speaker, is that if you can forge one doctor's signature, you can forge two doctors' signature. So this is not going to solve your problem. Your problem is the problem of the ministry is the fact that we are in 2022, there is IT systems everywhere, and we are still using paper, little pieces of paper flying around, and it's clear, Mr. Speaker, that this requires complete and intelligent overhaul completely so that we are able to offer a fair and decent service to many thousands of invalids that are suffering daily in Mauritius, including giving them chairs to sit, Mr. Speaker.
Why should you be sarcastic, Honorable Leader of the Opposition? If you're saying there are no sufficient chairs there, you should have tell me, and needful would have been done. So you are coming in this chamber to say that there are no sufficient chairs. I am not aware of that. So, well, Mr. Speaker, we are presently working on an e-social security system. So I think this is very important now. So we are in the year 2022. So an e-social security system is very important because my ministry is mostly concerned with the payment of all kinds of pensions, so basic retirement pension, basic invalidity pension, orphans pension, widows pension. So I think it is, we are working on the e-social security system. I do hope that we will be able to implement this system as quickly as possible. But at the same time, as I have said, I have had several meetings with the officers of my ministry, and we are working on a mechanism for the counter-verification of medical certificates issued by doctors in public hospitals also. I think this is very important. But however, at the same time, we realize that, you know, double verifying the certificate will make the whole process more lengthier for the claimants. So we are still discussing ways to ensure that the system is not too cumbersome and does not cause prejudice to our applicants, but at the same time, I think we need to have proper checks and balances.
Speaker, I have a last question for the Honourable Minister. If I'm irritated, it is not because of her. It is for other reasons, obviously. Everyone will see. Now, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister, I've given her she will verify them. And if you find that, in fact, the medical boards have accepted the certificates without even a stamp on them, there is a Plaine Maillon Medical Board, and I think it is a Rosebell Medical Board. Will you tell me today that if that is the case, you will immediately dismiss members of that medical board and change the whole boards and change the whole team? If you do.
Mr. Speaker, let me, I think it is too early to preempt. Let me first verify the authenticity of the two documents that have been produced. No, I am not saying I am doubting.
On your side.
So
It's your turn to be polite, Leader of the Opposition.
So allow me.
It's your turn to be polite, Leader of the Opposition. Be polite.
So now you are intervening and not allowing me, you know, time to respond. So I was saying, well, you have produced two documents. Let me verify the authenticity of the two documents produced, and then we will see. But rest assured that actions that need to be taken will be taken. Okay?
We move to the next item.
Motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
Seconded. The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favor say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it.
Statements by ministers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have two statements to make following matters raised on adjournment. at the sitting of the National Assembly on 15th of November 2022. The first statement relates to a matter raised by the Honourable Third Member for Port Louis Maritime and Port Louis East on the long delays in the issuance of Mauritius passport by the Passport Immigration Office. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Director General of Immigration that in fact, passports are normally issued within 4 days after payment. Recently, the time limit for issuance of passports has been temporarily revised to 10 working days. The reasons for the increase in processing time are, inter alia, the considerable increase in the number of applications received daily due to the worldwide opening of borders and waiver of sanitary restrictions, Mauritian citizens whose passport had expired during the closure of local and international borders, that is the period 2020-2021, have opted to travel as from 2022. Many university students who were following their courses online are now traveling abroad to continue their studies, and with promotional campaigns, more Mauritians are proceeding on holidays overseas. As regards applications for passports made through diplomatic missions, the processing time is inevitably longer. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a result of this growing interest for overseas travel, the Passport and Immigration Office, which used to register about 200 applications for passport daily, is now receiving around 600 applications daily, the processing of which is logically impacting on the date of their issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed that no Mauritian is being penalized or deprived of traveling due to non-availability of passport. They are being issued with their passport prior to their travel, and as regards emergency cases, these are being processed on a fast-track basis. I am further informed that the current backlog of around 1,250 applications is expected to be cleared in a week's time. Regarding the stock of blank passports, I am also informed that there are more than 29,000 available. The Passport and Immigration Office has already placed for its stock an order for 120,000 blank passports. The first consignment is expected by the end of coming January 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, my second statement is in regard to a matter raised by Honourable Second Member for Port Louis South and Port Louis Central on the need for additional police officers at Valipito Police Station. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that, as at date, there are 42 police officers posted at Valipito Police Station. They are supported by the various units from the Metropolitan North Division comprising, amongst others, the Divisional Support Unit, CID, ADSU, and ERS at specific hours during day and night in order to maintain constant visible patrol within the station area. They are also assisted by the SMF, SSU, and NCG. Mr. Speaker, sir, I must also point out that 400 trainee police constables who have recently completed their training will soon be posted to police divisions island-wide. Metropolitan Division North will be staffed accordingly, including Valipito Police Station. Thank you.
Next statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, With your permission, I wish to make a statement regarding the participation of the Mauritian delegation at the 27th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27. The 27th session of the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27, was held in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, from the 6th of November to the 18th of November 2022, under the theme Together for Implementation. The UNFCCC sets out the basic legal framework and principles for international climate change cooperation with the aim of stabilizing atmospheric concentration of greenhouse gases to avoid dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. I led the Mauritian delegation from the 13th November to the 18th of November 2022, while Ambassador Goboden, based in Egypt, led the delegation during the first week. Mr. Speaker, sir, the COP27 session comprised various formal and informal meetings, namely those under the Conference of Parties to the UNFCCC. The Conference of Parties serving as a meeting of parties to the Kyoto Protocol, and the Conference of Parties serving as a meeting of parties to the Paris Agreement, and the COP subsidiary bodies for scientific and technological advice, and the one for implementation. Side events were also organized in parallel to highlight achievements on implementation of climate actions and to enable networking of participants. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is to be recalled that at COP26 held in Glasgow last year, parties agreed to A, limit the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, acknowledging that the 2 degrees Celsius target would allow massive devastation to take place, and B, raise their ambition in their nationally determined contributions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. Developed countries also reaffirmed their pledge to provide $100 billion annually. Mr. Speaker, sir, COP27 aimed at building on previous commitments, paves the way for future ambition, and be an implementation COP. The biggest issues that parties were faced with were the gaps between developed countries' climate finance pledges and actual mobilization and emission cuts needed to keep the momentum gathered at COP26 alive to limit temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Global climate finance for 2019-2020 was noted as currently only 31 to 32% of the annual investment needed. There were therefore high expectations that this African COP would deliver substantive progress and implementable climate actions on the priority issues, including adaptation, loss and damage, and means of implementation support. On the 15th of November 2022, at the second session of the high-level segment, I delivered my statement to underscore the commitment of Mauritius to contribute to the global effort to curb down climate change by embarking on a low-carbon emission pathway. I highlighted our initiatives towards adaptation to climate change and resilience building, and our challenges in doing so as it sits, in particular with respect to loss and damage. I accordingly made a call for climate finance to be adequate, accessible, and predictable, as well as more support for capacity building and technology transfer. With respect to innovative financing instruments, such as climate debt swaps, green bonds, and blue bonds, I made a plea for support by development partners, and also on the need for financial system transformation to support the transition and resilience needs of developing countries. Mr. Speaker, sir, for the past 30 years, small island developing states have been struggling for loss and damage to be recognized as a climate change-induced issue. The inclusion of same as a sub-item in the COP27 agenda was a major breakthrough. Remarkable diplomatic efforts led by the EOSIS, G20, G77 and China resulted to this historic step forward, namely making provision for the setting up of a transitional committee to make recommendations on the operationalization of the funding arrangement for loss and damage at COP28 next year. The agreement to have a committee to work on the establishment of such a funding arrangement is clearly a monumental outcome for developing countries, most vulnerable to the effects of climate change, at least responsible for it. I have to say that despite numerous attempts by some parties to backslide or backtrack on agreed commitments, these were reaffirmed and strengthened, mainly due to the stand taken by developing countries, including Mauritius. COP27, which was closed during the early morning of the 20th of November 2022, culminated into the following key outcomes, namely, first, the adoption of the Sharm el-Sheikh implementation plan, which highlights investments of at least 4 to 6 trillion USD per year for shifting to a low-carbon economy. The plan urges governments, central banks, and the private sector to review existing financial systems, structures, and processes. The plan also urges developed countries to meet the 100 billion USD per year goal and call for multilateral development banks and international financial institutions to review their operations with a view to enhancing the mobilization of climate finance. 2, keeping the 1.5 degrees Celsius target alive and launching at a mitigation work program which aims at scaling up mitigation ambition and implementation. Third, agreeing on the institutional arrangement for the operationalization of the Santiago network for loss and damage with a view to catalyze technical assistance to vulnerable countries. 4, pledging to add around 230 million USD to the adaptation fund to support additional vulnerable countries to access adaptation funding. 5th, preparation of a report by the Standing Committee on Finance on doubling adaptation finance for consideration at COP28. Every fraction of a degree of warming will push current limits of adaptation. The request for a report on the commitment to double adaptation finance is a welcome boost of confidence around meeting that goal. 6, announcement of a 3.1 billion USD plan for a universal early warning systems coverage within the next 5 years. And 7, calling for the intermediate review of the Gender Action Plan for more inclusive climate actions at all levels. The UN Secretary General informed that he would convene a Climate Ambition Summit in 2023 to give the required impetus to member states in the implementation of their national targets for a low-carbon pathway. According to the COP27 presidency, these outcomes have determined a way forward on decades-long conversation on funding for loss and damage, and deliberating over how to address the impacts on communities whose lives and livelihoods have been ruined by the very worst impacts of climate change. Mr. Speaker, sir, following my participation of Mauritius at COP27, as well as bilateral meetings that I had in Egypt, different potential sources of funding and technical assistance were identified and will be further explored. I wish to point out that prior to COP27, my ministry and the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, with the support of the Commonwealth National Climate Finance Advisor, have already initiated a process for the formulation of bankable projects together with line ministries. This will further pursued in the light of the discussion I had in the sideline of the COP. Furthermore, Mauritius has agreed to be one of the pioneer countries to trial a new approach known as the Task Force on Access to Climate Finance set out by the United Kingdom. In this context, my ministry would be holding consultations with the British High Commission and the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development to discuss the modalities for the way forward. Mr. Speaker, sir, with respect to the ongoing negotiations to achieve an outcome on the key pending issues highlighted in the Sharm el-Sheikh implementation plan, my ministry would pursue consultations at national level with a view to provide inputs to the EOSIS and the African group of negotiators in finalizing their submissions to the Secretariat of the UNFCCC throughout the preparatory period leading to COP28. In this respect, subcommittees of the Climate Change Committee would be set up under the chair of the relevant ministries in line with the provisions of the Climate Change Act 2020 to discuss, gather views, and also agree on national position with regard to the unresolved issues at COP27. These subcommittees would also be responsible for ensuring the implementation of climate actions at sectoral levels in line with the 2021 updated nationally determined contributions. I thank you for your attention, Mr. Speaker.
Public bills, first reading.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the Trade, Anti-Dumping, Countervailing and Safeguard Measures Bill be read, number 17 of 2022 be read the first time.
Seconded.
Public bill, second reading.
Honorable Leopold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As we all know, Mr. Speaker, sir, that Mauritius does not have natural resources such as other African countries like Uganda, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Mozambique. It is a small country, but it provides free university education, free school transport, free health care, including organ transplant and heart surgery. This is because successive governments since independence are elected through democratic political system with free and fair election, peaceful transition of power, and Mr. Speaker, sir, most of the successive governments that Mauritius have had are of coalition government with partners with diverse political views, represent all the segments which constitute our population, which have contributed, therefore, to the success story for good economic performance. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius is always cited as a success story in the continent of Africa for its economic growth and its social safety net. As I mentioned earlier on, that there are so many African countries with abundant number of natural resources such as gold, diamond, oil, and uranium. Despite that, and that Mauritius is not rich in comparison, yet Mauritius is very successful, I said. The success, as we all know, based on successful building of diverse economy, democracy, good governance, social security, and in addition, a sound, flexible regulatory system. Given the characteristic of Mauritius, Mr. Speaker, sir, we cannot produce all the goods that we needed. So we must access to goods which are not available domestically. Mauritius, therefore, needs to expand its market for that to happen. And every time when we talk about international trade, first thing which comes up is competitiveness. Competitiveness also means bringing cheaper products home for the benefit of consumers and users. These products vary from construction products for building of roads and other infrastructure, to food, consumable products, pharmaceutical products, to medical equipment, to medical devices, to clothes. In fact, everything. Those products have a direct impact on our life, health, and safety in terms of its standard and traceability. As consumers, we are directly involved with trade of goods. Government needs to have sound policies, therefore, to enhance standards. To control standard of goods through inspection, verification, and certification, as this amendment provides, we need a state-of-the-art laboratory to maintain the highest standard in so doing. To be able to measure and set the requireable standard to quality, compatibility, innovation in the transitional world in terms of climate change and the high demand of energy. These radical changes that are happening in our world in regards to the objective of this bill will also have an effect in enhancing innovation on products, innovation on marketing, innovation on processing, and innovation on organizing in terms of production and its delivery method. All these measures will play an important role in facilitating trade and lower or eliminate barriers. This bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, is also about, in its amendment, to the elimination of non-tariff barriers, which are so-called technical barriers. With the process of globalization, climate change, food insecurity, diseases, declining crop yielding, are urging government to take sustainable measures to protect consumers and enhance trade and to protect our species, our soil quality, and water quality. And this can be only achieved, Mr. Speaker, sir, by standardizing standards to eliminate the negative impact of variation in foreign technical regulations and standards. The harmonization of this law must help in preventing trade dispute, especially across the continent of Africa, as this may affect our country as well. With all the crisis that is happening in the world and with the enormous potential of our continent, this law, together with the international standard, must help to the manufacturing revolution that our region is hoping for. With what is happening in the world, it will be no longer sustainable that our region be just a place where to get raw resources. All the processing must be done in the region to add value to the raw products with the set standard. This law will help in changing the regional business model and enable to absorb the shock of global recession. Agricultural products, chocolate, refined oil, and other products can be produced in our region, and standardization must play a part in allowing that to happen by providing all the conditions needed for the end products of natural resources of our region be sold in any part of the world with the highest quality. This will end hunger, promoting environmentally sustainable development, competitiveness, which will certainly bring more products with good quality at an affordable price. This law, therefore, will help in increasing our manufacturing capacity as it is equalizing standard to what is expected by international organs. So what we are doing tonight, Mr. Speaker, sir, with this amendment is harmonizing our domestic law to avoid unnecessary obstacles to trade and make the law equivalent to a common international standard on monitoring and certification. As we will be called to trade more and more within our continent, this law will be in conformity to the African Standard Harmonization Model of the African Organization for Standardization in the objective of one standard, one market. Therefore, I am in support of the amendment as it is eliminating barriers what National Standards Bureau may cause if harmonization is not done. This measure will certainly be beneficial at the end to consumers and to our planet as this measure is sustainable. So this is my contribution to this debate, Mr. Speaker. So I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Leopold has stated some hard facts. And it is for this reason I will humbly tender sound advice to the Honorable Minister, who is a very likable person. Sack the General Manager of the Mauritius Standard Bureau. A breath of fresh air will be ushered in, and confidence will slate diffidence, its survival, revival, and consolidation. I lay the blame fairly and squarely on the autocratic regime, which had arbitrarily chosen the wrong person for the job where professionalism, integrity, and accountability are the prerequisites. The regime has deliberately put the post of director on the back burner. The post of director of the Mauritius Standard Bureau suits the profile of a person who has technical and management competence. Where is the provision in the Mauritius Standards Bureau Act for a political nominee to head the quasi-autonomous government body? The incumbent was thrust upon on the MSB by the chairman of the board by devious means. It was a recipe to undermine an institution of repute and to sap the morale of the dignified staff. This undignified appointment created an uproar. My good friend, Honorable Lobin, was the first to denounce the sham recruitment exercised both in Parliament and outside Parliament. The lady has run down the MSB. It used to be a model bureau, a source of inspiration to many developing countries. SADC and COMESA cited MSB as a reference. Mr. Speaker, the general manager and the rubber stamp board have been indicted following the findings of an internal inquiry and external audit conducted by officers of Mauritius. Take corrective measures, Minister. Stop the rot. There's still time to reverse the process. And the risk is too big for the general manager to stay in office. There is no need for further setback out there and beyond our frontiers. It's cutthroat competition, and you know it better. No one owes us a living. The days of free lunch are over, even for rent seekers, Mr. Speaker. Comply or lose competitiveness, adapt or perish, and as Minister of SME, Industrial Development and Cooperatives, you have an ethical, moral, and illegal obligation to safeguard and consolidate micro, small, and medium economies, the backbone of economic democratization. The keyword is leveling up. How can MSB level up? I'm not going to repeat the arguments put across by Honorable Uteam, but I will reinforce some of the salient features. There are indeed many loopholes to be plugged and a plethora of recommendations have been made by Mauritius. Mr. Tengar, Director of APEC, took the government to task and flagged the shortcomings of a sampling and testing of bottled drinking water and non-compliance of MSB to the sampling plan as detailed in Section 9.1 of the MS 84. Water is the elixir of life. Make it safe, or else it is a vector of many infectious and responsible for non-infectious diseases. But unfortunately, government doesn't care. Honorable Leopold was right to talk on substandard products, which are increasingly being commercialized in our markets, and they will jeopardize the health and safety of our citizens, and in some cases, may be life-threatening. Since we're almost on the threshold of Christmas, let us put a simple question. Are the toys safe, especially those powered by batteries and electricity? How many have lead paint? It is a legitimate expectation that Mauritius Standards Bureau should set up a mechanism to ensure that the products on our markets are fit for its purpose. There is no provision or mechanism in this legislation. It is only through market surveillance that this objective can be achieved. It is a major omission in this new bill. The Minister has missed a lost opportunity. Mauritius Standards Bureau is revised after almost 3 decades. I say missed opportunity because I would have expected him to come with a comprehensive bill to do justice to the plea he has made in relation, and the plea made by others, in relation to conformity assessment in a fast-changing world where competition is fierce and preferences for micro and small island developing states are being phased out. However, this legislation meets an opportunity not to modernize the Mauritius Standards Bureau and to enable it to play a prominent role in the socio-economic development of the country. Any new legislation should consolidate and strengthen the role of the organization. It is sad to say that most of the amendments brought to the legislation are but cosmetic and do not fulfill the needs and aspirations of a modern and vibrant national standards body of a new industrialized country like Mauritius, aiming to be an upper middle income status. As a member of the World Trade Organization and signatory to the International Standard Organization, we are bound to align. If not, we will be unduly penalized. Either we commit or pay the price of technical barriers to trade. And there is no retreat, no surrender, and no differential or special treatment to LDC or small island developing states in relation to technical barriers to trade. On standards and assessment, there is no derogation even on a list of sensitive products. Obey the rules, rule-based, first and foremost, and the benchmark is a blanket cover or a threshold for all member states. Free trade is fair trade, not unfair trade practices, and best endeavors are applied for protection of consumers. The MSB certification mark indeed should be the hallmark. However, nothing bars a member to raise the threshold above established benchmark if and only if it is not discriminatory or perceived as a technical barrier to other members. That's why I would like to impress upon the Minister that this is something that needs to be considered. Therefore, MSB, as the inquiry point, will reply to queries from member states, but the focal point remains the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade. Does it deserve to be the inquiry point when the post of director is yet to be fulfilled? That's why I say, don't forget, we're under the constant gaze of multilateral institutions. International trade remains the focal point, and it is appropriate that international trade is fully apprised. Besides, both World Trade Organization and ISO will have to go through the focal point. Similarly, Department of Agriculture is the inquiry point for phytosanitary measures. Contrary to the MSB, it has a director of agricultural services. Since 1993, there was no provision for a representative of international trade and Ministry of Health to sit on the Standard Council. Yet, international trade is the focal point. The Council has to level up on principles of professionalism integrity, and accountability. It's there to serve the interests of the country and its citizens. Mr. Speaker, even if we do not domesticate our legislation, rights and obligations to World Trade Organization as signatory to trade agreements are binding. The dispute settlement body or appellate body has a wake-up call. United States cannot continue to block the functions of the appellate body. Let us hope the forthcoming meeting between US and Chinese presidents will resolve the issue amongst other pressing matters. The MSB should be the powerhouse of the economic sectors for calibration, metrology, and standardization. The key word is conformity assessment. And the 7 basic units of Système International d'Unité that have to be met through traceability from goods to finished products, an idea, as we say, matured through research and development and innovation and turned into a marketable product, is worth its ounce of gold. The MSB becomes its lifeblood. Therefore, we have to strive towards zero error. This is the question. Quality assurance or conformity assessment is our assessment for lap of honor, but as we say, the miles to go before we're brand. Our products have to be tested and certified by accredited laboratories. The buzzword remains the brand name. The success of Italy's manufacturing sector rests on its cluster and quality produce. Market is there to tap. Regional market, as Honorable Leopold has stated, will continue to grow exponentially. In the coming years, more so with the advent of the continental free trade area. No doubt, regional standards will assume new dimension in the evolving environment, and Mauritius Standards Bureau should wake up to the new reality. Consequently, it should be proactive in the regional and international standard settings processes. The MSB should in fact lead regional standards development and seek recognition of Mauritius standards in the region. The legislation, unfortunately, has overlooked this crucial area of activity. When there's no captain, it's too risky to put the technical body on an automatic piloting or in the hands of a political nominee who lacks the acumen. You recall, Mr. Speaker, that in the debates on the Food Standards Agency, I referred to a DNA equipment which was purchased by the MSB to control sale of look-alike basmati rice. Unfortunately, the equipment was discarded after 2 years. Indeed, who cares? It's taxpayers' money. Notwithstanding the functions of the Bureau, notwithstanding its function, the Bureau has been given unfettered powers as spelled out in Section 48 of the main Act. MSB certification, as stated earlier, the mark should be the brand name. The object is to turn MSB into a body of reference. The bill provides for the MSB to be the government agency for conformity assessment services. I believe the organization is seeking to chew more than it can swallow. First and foremost, the organization does not possess the competence, the expertise, and experience. We have to build up its human capital. The leveling up has to start. Furthermore, there are several governmental bodies in Mauritius which provide conformity assessment services in diverse sectors, and these bodies are performing well. The MSB cannot thus be designated as the government agency for conformity assessment, notwithstanding conformity assessment services is part of the be-all and the end-all. These services should be accredited and recognized. Consequently, it should be mentioned in the bill that the MSB should provide accredited conformity assessment services and not simply conformity assessment services. As regards standards development, efforts need to be stepped up to establish indigenous, that is, local standards. Most of the standards established by the MSB are adoption of the ISO standards, which may not be relevant in the local context. I would say, think globally and act locally. Consequently, the MSB should set up a mechanism to seek the views of stakeholders as regards the standards to be developed, and the Standards Council should have the mandate to approve the list of standards to be developed, as well as to monitor project completion. This will keep the relevancy of the standards being developed. In addition, the Standards Council should not only declare new standards, but should also notify the withdrawal of standards which is not standards which are not included in the present bill. So, Speaker, let me conclude by saying that it is reasonable that the Bureau has copyrights on the Mauritian standards, but it is not fair to prohibit an individual from making a copy of the standard for personal use. The bill should make provision for such cases. I understand that the MSB generates substantial revenue from the sale of Mauritian standards and international standards. Consequently, the sale of standards has to be included in the function of the organization. The price of standards is very high and deters stakeholders from purchasing these standards. A fair pricing mechanism for the sale of standards should be determined and authorized by the Council. These initiatives promote the use of standards in Mauritius. As I said earlier, there are miles to go before we run the lap of honor. Certainly, there is no such thing as an effortless sense of supremacy or superiority. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Lieutenant Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Pitiful et aberrant. Yet again, Mr. Speaker, sir, a missed opportunity on behalf of the member of the opposition to show that they are for the well-being of our motherland. But fidèles à leur habitude, instead of addressing the technical issues in this amendment bill, they try to focus all the attention upon petty matters. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill is related to all the technical changes being brought, all the amendments being brought to the MSB. And this bill concerns the international trade and surpasses cheap politics. We, on this side of the House, yes, we, this regime of MSM, under the leadership of Honorable Pravin Jagnnath, we have no lesson to learn from members on the other side. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am very pleased to take a call on this bill, the Mauritius Standard Bureau Amendment Bill, brought to this House by the Honorable Minister Sunil Dutt Bola of the Industrial Development, SMEs and Cooperatives. The Minister has given an excellent speech about how we reached to this point and what are the changes being brought through these amendments. Let me just go back to some very important dates that he mentioned. The MSB was created since 1975. In 1996, the Bureau gained the first accreditation for its certification services from the Dutch Council of Accreditation in 1996. Since 1995, the MSB is a member solely representing Mauritius to the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, and since 2010, associate member of the Bureau International des Poids et Mesures. But the members of the opposition choose to focus only on people, on the director, on people, instead of showing the path, the way that MSB has come so far. And at this very point, Mr. Speaker, sir, I think and I humbly believe that it is very, very important for us to acknowledge the commendable job being done by the ministers of this government under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister. These amendments being brought are definitely logical steps following the Food Standard Agency bill debated in this House in October 2022, October this year. The amendments, Mr. Speaker, sir, has a noble intent, that is to provide for the formalization of activities such as formulation of the Mauritian standards, metrology and calibration, activities which are already undertaken by the MSB. This bill aligns itself to the requirements of the Article 10 of the World Trade Organization's technical barriers to trade agreement, that is, formalities connected with importation, exportation, and transit. Section 3, use of international standards 3.1, which states as follows: Members are encouraged to use relevant international standards or parts, therefore, as a basis of their import, export, or transit formalities, procedures, except as otherwise provided for in this agreement. Mr. Speaker, sir, in this era of globalization and the growing importance of ensuring conformity with standards in global trade, the MSB Amendment Bill is part of an ongoing evolution, providing the MSB with huge significance and responsibility. And allow me here to refer to new sections being added to this amendment. Section 26A, conformity assessment. For the purpose of this act, the Bureau shall provide conformity assessment services which shall include but not be limited to visual inspection, testing, verification of certificates of conformity or test report. The Bureau shall issue a conformity report in respect any conformity or test reports. And here, Mr. Speaker, sir, the conformity assessment procedures hold an increasing importance in the modern day, and hence by adding this new clause, the MSB gets to play a critical role in strengthening the trade and exports. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, sir, Section 26B, inspection. The Bureau may establish, maintain, provide and inspection services to the public-private sectors. Mr. Speaker, sir, the amendments being debated in this House today enable the country to boost its image as a reliable trade partner and thus becoming a privileged player in the world market. When it comes to international trade, standards that are international, transparent and consensus-based become solutions rather than obstacles. If used effectively, such standards and conformity assessments have the capacity to remove barriers to trade, spur innovation, and fuel business and economic growth. Things like facilitating exports and economic development, developing a qualified workforce, or improving basic infrastructure, strengthening supply chains, improving consumer safety, as well as protecting the environment, are all key elements that need to be part of international trade. Facilitating trade in this way allows for key protections and improvements while not compromising on economic growth and innovation and also development. Improving the national quality infrastructure to support firms' ability to better conform to international standards are therefore an important and growing area of MSB's engagement in the area of trade and competitiveness. The MSB Amendment Bill presented in this House will further empower the MSB to develop systems that enhance the quality and safety of products, improve the flow of information for all stakeholders, and prepare the country to take advantage of trade opportunities under existing and new trade agreements. And here, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is very, very important for us to shed light on an important amendment which relates to the setting up of a national inquiry point at the MSB, which is stipulated at clause 4 of the bill. Mauritius has always been striving in bringing improvement in the evolving dynamics of standardization. It became a member of the World Trade Organization, WTO, on the 1st January 1995, when it also signed the WTO's Technical Barriers Trade Agreement. And this agreement aims to ensure that technical regulations are respected and there is conformity, and there are regular assessment procedures also which are non-discriminatory and do not create unnecessary obstacles to trade. The agreement, Mr. Speaker, sir, requires that each member country sets up an inquiry point to reply to all the inquiries from different stakeholders from different countries. And in Mauritius, the national focal point of the WTO is the International Trade Division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as stated by the Honorable Minister in his speech, while the MSB is operating as a national inquiry point as it is an internationally recognized standard body by the International Organization for Standardization. The bill, therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, makes the necessary provisions to empower the MSB to operate as a national inquiry point in consultation with other ministries. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, in an ever-changing competitive landscape. This is an urgent reform required to the process of making MSB a focal point at international level to respond to the inquiries and to get into discussion with global stakeholders regarding standardization procedures. Through the MSB, the government is enabling local farms to connect to global value chains. We believe that this is a highly relevant agenda for developing countries, and one that will definitely help Mauritius to grow in importance in the future. This is my humble contribution to this bill, Mr. Speaker. So once again, I support the Honourable Minister in bringing this amendment bill to the House. Thank you for your attention.
Honourable members, I suspend the sitting for 30 minutes.